Hey everyone, welcome to your April 2026 horoscope and forecast. I'm not able to be on camera today to do my introduction because, as you can probably hear from my voice, I'm very much under the weather. I can barely breathe. So, I'm not able to be on camera. However, I have recorded your individual 12 zodiac sign horoscopes in advance before actually the escalation of what's currently going on in the world. But it's interesting because we're moving into the Aries territory in April. And Aries is a fire sign. It's also ruled by Mars, and Mars will also enter April, move into Aries. And Mars is known as God of Chaos, God of War. It's a warrior energy. So it seems like just there's so much fiery energy going on in the month of April, which shows escalation, which shows chaos. We do begin the month of April with a full moon in Libra. The full moon in Libra is gonna, of course, consist of the moon being in Libra and the sun being in Aries. The sun being in Aries, ruling over fire and chaos. But then you've got the moon in Libra, which is ruled by Venus, which rules over harmony and peace. And when you got a full moon, the sun and the moon in opposition, especially in these two signs, it's needing resolution, it's needing harmony and peace and balance and stability. So with the astrology, it's showing all this Aries energy is continuing. And especially when you've got Mars entering Aries, it's gonna go all out. And then Mercury entering Aries, which when you look at Mercury, you see the global world as well. Mercury rules not only communication, but it rules movement and travel. And I also want to point out, I recorded these horoscopes in advance of what I knew what was going on in the world, and especially to the point it's at right now. So, if at any point I mentioned the third house, the ninth house, or travel, of course, bear in mind what is going on in the world and the chaos we are currently in. Use your discernment, don't jeopardize your safety, be safe and be careful. And if you can avoid traveling and um, you know, going to different places, of course, prioritize your safety and be safe at all costs. So, I have a lot to say about April currently as I'm speaking, but I'm just so under the weather and I can't be in camera right now. I really need to rest and recover. But I'm wishing you all the best in the month of April. Wishing for, of course, harmony, peace, all that Libra energy to come forth. And I will speak with you very soon. Take care. Aries rising, welcome to your April 2026 forecast. In April, it's Aries season. The sun enters your sign, so happy solar return to all those celebrating. And then we also have your annual new moon in Aries. So, because it's Aries season in April and it's a fire sign, there's a lot of emphasis on independence. It's a very goal orientated month. It's a very fast and furious type of month. There's a lot of action, a lot of confidence, and a lot of passion. As soon as we kick off the first day of April, we have a full moon in your opposite sign, Libra. So the sun will be in your sign, Aries, and the moon will be in your opposite sign, Libra. And this is falling at 12 degrees. So take a look at your chart, because if you have any of these energies in your chart at 12 degrees or close by, you'll feel the impact and manifestation of this much more stronger. Now, when you have a full moon, your annual full moon in your opposite sign, meaning the sun is in your sign and the full moon is in your opposite sign, this is impacting you and other people. So, in terms of the sun being in your sign, the focus is on you, life, identity, life path, purpose, ambitions. But the moon, which is your emotions, what you're feeling emotionally, it's about the people in your life and particularly relationships, because the moon is in the seventh house. So during this time, because full moons represent a culmination point, this is when the energy is at its fullest and most intense, there may be a lot that perhaps comes to the forefront, or perhaps there is some type of resolution, or perhaps even there is some type of release that occurs, something that has been kind of growing, because that's the full moon. We go from the waxing moon into the full moon, which is symbolizing growth, and then when we get to the full moon, it's at its most peakest point. So there may be something that occurs that has been going on and brewing on for quite some time regarding you and somebody else significant in your life, whether it be a relationship or some sort of partnership, or there may be some type of release or healing that occurs, particularly if you have 12 degrees of either Aries or Libra in your chart. So watch out for that full moon in Libra. And also during this time, Venus and Pluto will be in a square. So this is a very relationship orientated full moon. Okay, with Venus and Pluto, there's a lot of passion, a lot of intensity, and a lot of healing that can occur. Now we've got more Aries energy coming through. April the 9th, your ruler Mars enters Aries, and then on April the 14th, the planet of travel and communication and the mind also enters Aries. So we've got so much Aries energy, Saturn, Neptune, Mars, Mercury, all in your sign, which is really supporting you in taking action, going for what you want. Your mind is working really fast. You're perhaps really creative. You got a lot of stamina, a lot of vitality, a lot of energy. Now, just bear in mind, as soon as Mercury and Mars enter Aries, they will be in a conjunction with Neptune and Saturn, which can slow things down, but that's not a bad thing because it can help you to reflect and kind of come up with an action plan before you just reach for the stars, okay? So you're going to feel very just intense during this month. So take time out so that you're not letting that energy get the best of you, and so that you can actually be more strategic with it. So if you need to take time out or you need to kind of drop into your yin energy, do so, because there's so much masculine energy, a lot of yang energy, a lot of fiery energy. And with Mars and Mercury in Aries, you got to be careful because you can also lose your cool very easily because it can get very triggered. There can be a lot of passion. So that's something to bear in mind. But if you've got some goals that you want to accomplish and achieve, this energy is supporting that because your foot is going to be on the gas and you're ready to go. Now, we also have a new moon happening in your sign on April the 17th at 27 degrees of Aries. This new moon is also bringing forth a lot of new energy. It's also bringing a lot of creativity, but also a lot of healing. Now, typically new moons are about initiation, manifestation, planting seeds. New moon in Aries always supports that because Aries is the first zodiac sign. It's very action oriented. It's all about goals and action and accomplishing. But this new moon, the sun and the moon, will be in a conjunction with Chiron. Chiron is known as a wounded healer. So it supports in healing. There may be some part of your identity or part of your life or something that is very personal that comes to light. And during this time, you can actually do a lot of self-love or healing work, spiritual healing. And something can also be really spiritually awakening to you as well, because Chiron is very much a spiritual energy, but that also supports you in whatever goals you have for yourself. So it can be a very powerful time, wisdom coming through, enlightenment, awakening, also clarity, a very healing, beautiful time. And it can really support you in working on some issues of the past or energies that you've been trying to work out. This new moon can support you in that. Now, the sun enters Taurus on April the 19th, where the energy focuses on your self-worth, value, what you own, and resources. So that's where the light and the energy will be really shining and evolving in your chart. We also have Uranus that enters Gemini on April the 25th, moving out of the second house into the third house. Now, it's already dipped its toes in here, but now it's really going to settle in. And so is Venus going to move into Gemini on April the 24th. So there's going to be a lot of focus on your mind, communication, perhaps traveling especially in your local environment, and relationships may be very different at the end of the month in comparison to the beginning of the month. At the beginning of the month, they may be very intense because of all that Aries energy, but as we get to the end of the month, there may be more freedom, more playfulness, more ease, more distance as well, but also a lot of communication, a lot of stimulation with Uranus as well. It's really going to be activating your mind, and communication is going to be very profound during the end of the month. So Aries, Aries rising, I'm wishing you all the best this month. Take care, and this is your month to really shine. Taurus, Taurus rising, welcome to your April 2026 forecast. Taurus, this is a month where the sun changes from Aries into your sign. So happy solar return. Before we get into that, let's talk about all the energy happening at the beginning of the month, because there's a lot of intensity, a lot of passion, a lot of fiery energy. Now, we have a ton of planets moving into the sign of Aries. We already have Saturn and Neptune in Aries. The sun will be in Aries when we start off April. Mars, a planet of action, enters Aries on April the 9th. Planet of communication and travel moves into Aries on April the 14th. And we also have a new moon in Aries on April the 17th. So there's so much intensity with all this Aries energy. It's also very rare. It's not something that happens quite often. But for you, it's happening all in your 12th house. Now, the interesting thing between Aries in the 12th house is Aries is a very action-orientated energy. It's all about action, doing things, accomplishing, moving around. It's about stamina, momentum. However, the 12th house is very reserved. It's more otherworldly, it's more spiritual. You can even see it metaphorically as a non-physical. So when you have all that airy energy, all that fiery energy, including Mars and the Sun in the 12th house, there can be some frustrations because all that Aries energy wants to do things and go out there. And sure, you can, of course, still do all of that. But when all that energy is in the 12th house, it's being asked to reflect. It's being asked to look at the past. It's being asked to focus on the more yin side to life. So it's important to turn any frustration into a positive. And with the 12th house, it can actually support us to look inwards, to go inwards, to look at some of the things that we actually feel or have experienced that perhaps we don't usually focus on. It gives us that chance and opportunity. And the 12th house is also very much the physical, and it's the creative, it's the intuitive, it's the dream house. So this may be a time where you're having a lot of vivid dreams, you're feeling very intuitive, and perhaps there's a lot of focus on spirituality. This could also be a time of a lot of deep reflection and also a lot of releasing. And speaking of releasing, on April the 1st, we got a full moon in Libra happening at 12 degrees, where the sun will be in the 12th house and the moon will be in the 6th house. So all that I just said about the 12th house is very much valid during this full moon in Libra, but because the moon will be in the 6th house, there's also a lot of focus on your daily life routine as well as work. So that may be a time as well that is very much emphasized. It may have to do with relationships, a relationship you have with self or other people. There may be something that has been moving in a certain direction, and during this full moon, especially regarding how you take care of yourself, life, habits, how your life is organized and structured, and work. This may be a time where that all comes to the peak, and perhaps there's this aha moment, this epiphany that's drawing in from the 12th house, but also there could be some transformation, a release or something changing regarding your daily life routine or work. And even if you've been working hard in your job and trying to accomplish or achieve something or working towards something, the full moon can actually show that manifestation as well. Now, relationships during this full moon are very much emphasized. One, because the full moon is in Libra, and Libra is ruled by Venus, a goddess of love and relationships. But Venus is also in your sign Taurus. So there's a lot of focus on love, relationships, harmony, and partnerships. However, during this full moon in Libra, Venus and Pluto are at odds. There's a strong alignment between the two. So there could be some secrets revealed, some intensity, some issues that need to be addressed or worked through that need to be resolved and may come up during this full moon. And the full moon always gives us an opportunity, especially in Libra, to work and heal and come to some type of resolution in partnerships and relationships with others. Now let's move on to the new moon in Aries that's happening on April the 17th. This is happening in your 12th house. The sun and the moon will be here. So this area of life is so emphasized with all these planets. Now this new moon in Aries is also giving us an opportunity for a lot of healing. We have Saturn and Mars and Neptune in a conjunction in Aries, so that's bringing a lot of frustration. So we can do a lot of healing on those frustrations and any type of intense emotional energy coming up, but also because the sun and the moon and Chiron, which is known as a wounded healer, will be in a conjunction. And because it's in the 12th house, it amplifies the healing quality, the healing energy that is available. So matters of the past or emotions that come up or experiences that you feel like you've gone through that need to be worked through, or anything you've absorbed since the last full moon or even the last new moon, it's time to let it go. It's time to release, and this energy actually supports you in healing and letting go as well. Even though it's a new moon, this is a new beginning, a new chapter of this healing journey that you are on. Moving on. April the 19th, the sun enters Taurus, a happy solar return to all those celebrating. This is when the sun is in your sign. It's a new cycle. This is a brand new year for you. And there's an emphasis on vitality, stamina, and life force. So there's a lot of focus on yourself, identity, as well as your goals. We also have Venus that moves into Gemini on April the 24th, which means relationships move away from the intensity and they're more playful. They are more easygoing. There's more stimulation and communication involved. But also Uranus moves out of your sign on April the 25th into the next sign, Gemini, moving into your second house of self-worth and values, resources, what you own, finances. So now there's more focus on that area of life and there's more change occurring in that area of life. So Taurus rising, it's a brand new month of new opportunities and new energies, and I'm wishing you all the best. Take care. Gem Rising, welcome to your April 2026 energy forecast. So, April is a big month because we have lots of Aries fiery energy going on, but something big that's happening. One, Venus enters into your sign, so love and relationships are going to be very much emphasized for you. But the big change is planet Uranus, the planet of freedom, of independence, of innovation, of change, is moving into your sign. Now, it's already entered your sign before, but due to retrogrades, it went back into Taurus, but now it's officially starting its transit in your sign. So this is a big one. Now, this is going to happen at the end of the month. This is going to happen the day after the planet of love and relationship enters your sign, Venus, on April the 24th, and then April the 25th, Uranus enters your sign. Now, this could impact relationships just from the get-go, because when Venus and Uranus are together, this is just so unique. It's a very interesting combination because although Venus is about love and relationships and harmony in relationships, when Uranus is in the mix, it's more about freedom, it's more about independence, it's more about exploring, it's more about trying something different. It can need its distance and need a bit of space, but it's unique in its own sense. So this energy can charge up something different in relationships. There could be some unpredictability, or even there could be a desire for some change or something new, okay? Now, because Uranus and Venus will be in your first house, this has to do with you, your life, your identity, and perhaps during this time you're very much focused on how you appear, and also because Venus is in your sign, this and in Uranus, this has to do with perhaps changing something about yourself. Now, the first house isn't just about appearance, it's about identity, life path, goals, purpose, and what you want to accomplish throughout this lifetime as well. So that may also be going through a major shift. Now, remember, Uranus is going to stay in your sign for quite a while, a couple of years. So it's going to be a process. Varies on your planet. So if you have early gem, this is going to impact you this year. And if you have later gem, it's going to be a
couple of years until you really go through the transit. So it really depends on your chart. So that's something major happening in the month of April. Now, something else that's really getting intense and hard is we've got so much Aries energy happening. So straight off the bat, we've got Saturn and Neptune in Aries in your 11th house of friends, groups, networks, and hopes and wishes for the future. And I discussed that in last month's horoscope. But then on top of that, we have planet of action, Mars, entering Aries. Also, planet of communication and travel entering Aries. So you've got a lot of Aries energy in the 11th house. We also have on April the 17th a new moon in Aries at 27 degrees. So it seems like this month there's a huge focus on people and the people in your circle, including friendships, the people you know, you're acquainted to, the people you network with, your social life, collaborations, things you're building with others, as well as hopes, visions, and wishes for the future. Now, Saturn and Neptune together are breaking some illusions, and Saturn is helping you to come up with a much more, to redefine your action plan in reference to your hopes and wishes for the future. But with Mars and Mercury, this is kind of supporting to speed it up. I mean, sure, there may be some frustrations at the beginning of those energies when Mars and both Mercury move into Aries and are in a conjunction with Saturn and Neptune, but nonetheless, Mars and Mercury are, especially in Aries, it's all about go, 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 go. So there may be a lot of moving forward as well. Like, they're coming in with all the action, and there could be a lot of passion, a lot of intensity. You got to be careful not to get into any ego power battles with friends or acquaintances, because Mars is a hothead. And with all that energy, Aries fiery energy, sure, you can get very easily like in a confrontation or an argument. So you just got to watch out for that, because Mercury in Aries can have the tendency to be very argumentative. Now we've got a new moon in Aries, sun moon in Aries at 27 degrees on April the 17th. So this could be a new beginning, new chapter, something changing, shifting, something coming into fruition regarding friends, groups, social networks, hopes and wishes for the future. There's a lot of healing energy here as well, because the sun and moon will be in a conjunction with Chiron during this new moon in Aries. So that is indicating to an awakening, an epiphany, or some type of healing occurring through this area of life. This could be connected to somebody, a person, a group, or regarding your plans for the future. Now, we also have a full moon in Libra happening right at the get-go of April, on April the 1st, and I probably should have discussed that before, but I was so excited to tell you about Uranus moving into your sign. But April the 1st, we've got a full moon in Libra, so the sun will be in Aries, and the moon will be in Libra at 12 degrees. So this is impacting your 11th, but also your 5th house. Now, I've already spoken about how the 11th house is a huge focus point during the month of April, but also the 5th house. Now, during this full moon in Libra, emotionally, the moon in Libra is in your 5th house. This is connected with the inner child. This is connected with self-expression, what makes you laugh, what brings you pleasure and joy and happiness into your life, creativity. And also this could have to do with romance, dating, and relationships as well. And because it's a full moon in Libra, it could have to do with that as well, more significantly. So there may be something that changes or grows or transforms regarding this area of life. If you've been working towards being more happier, or implementing more joy and happiness or creativity into your life, creating something, expressing yourself, working with your creative gifts and abilities, or if it means for you moving forward in a relationship as well. So that may be changing. This is also connected with the 11th house as well. Remember, full moons are about it's the height of the moon phase, it's the peak, it's at a high energy intensity. This could be a release, a culmination of something, or a transformation. Now, during this time, Venus and Pluto will be impacting each other. Like, they're going to be in a very strong square. So during this time, there may be a lot of relationship stuff coming up, any secrets, anything hidden, or matters of the heart, matters of power, power struggle issues, but there could also be a lot of healing that occurs during this full moon in Libra, because this moon is in Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus, which is ultimately the goddess of love and relationships, and with Pluto in the mix, Pluto does support us in deep spiritual transformation. So anything hidden underneath the surface, or that you've been carrying for a while, can come up to the surface, but ultimately it can support you to do a lot of healing. So, Gem Rising, big month ahead. I'm wishing you all the best. Let me know how you get on, and I'll speak with you soon. Take care. Hey Cancer Rising, let's get into your April forecast. So, April the 1st, we have a full moon in Libra. Now, the sun will be in Aries and the moon will be in Libra at 12 degrees. This full moon in Libra is impacting your 10th and 4th house. So, career goals and ambitions, as well as home, family life, your personal life, and where you go to retreat and rejuvenate. Now, in terms of the sun, where there's a lot of focus in general throughout this month, there is a lot of energy in your 10th house. Career goals and ambitions is almost like taking over April for you, because not only we're kicking off April the 1st with this full moon in Libra, but we've got Mars that enters Aries on April the 9th, which is all about action. We got Mercury, the planet of communication and travel, entering Aries on April the 14th. So Saturn and Neptune also already in this area of life. So there's so much focus and a lot of building and moving forward in this area of life. But when we get to just the beginning of the month, the themes of the 10th house, career goals and ambitions, and the 4th house, home, family, and where you go to retreat and rejuvenate, will set the tone. Now, with the sun in the 10th house, it's shining its light, and everyone probably can notice that that's where you're focused on. However, what probably people are not noticing is the moon, where emotionally and what you're more intuitively connected to is home and family. And there may be also a lot of stuff going on at home, and you're trying to balance both of these areas of life. Now, during this full moon in Libra, there may be something that shifts or changes, comes to an end. There may be some type of release or a jump that you decide to make that leads into a transformation regarding both the 10th house and the 4th house. But when you have the sun and moon and it's forming a full moon, this does show where balance is required and what is kind of taking center stage during that time. And for you, it is the 10th and the 4th house. Now, the 4th house has to do with home and family and relationships, in terms of like the personal relationships you have. But the Libra energy is very romantic. It's very relationship orientated in terms of marriage, unity, harmony. Libra is ruled by Venus, and interestingly enough, Venus and Pluto will be squaring off. And matters may get very intense regarding relationships as well. You got to watch out for any power struggles, but ultimately when Venus and Pluto and you got a full moon, to like really amplifying the energy, this could call for healing. So there could be some sort of healing that happens during this time, or you work with this energy to bring forth healing in the areas of life that are required. But the 10th house and the 4th house are taking the limelight during this month. And then again, like I said, all that Aries energy in the 10th house, and this is topped off as well because we got a new moon in Aries on April the 17th, which can bring a new beginning, a new opportunity, a new change regarding career goals and ambitions. And this new moon has a very healing quality to it because the sun, moon, and Chiron will be in a conjunction. So regarding this area of life, the 10th house, there could be some healing. Anything from the past that is kind of like made you feel some type of way, or even like knocked your confidence, or things haven't gone your way and you're kind of carrying that, or any kind of power struggles, this new moon can support in healing and your healing journey, but connected to the 10th house. So any aspect of your career or your goals or your ambitions or anything involving authority, there could be a lot of healing done during this new moon in Aries. Okay. Now, we also have the sun entering Taurus on April the 19th, where there'll be a lot of focus on friends, groups, networks, and hopes and wishes for the future. April the 24th, Venus enters Gemini, moving into your 12th house. The 12th house is more of a secluded area of life. It rules more of the spiritual aspect of life. This also rules over dreams, intuition, creativity, the past. So there could be a lot of feelings coming up that you're kind of keeping to yourself, but going through this internal process, or perhaps stuff from the past regarding relationships comes up. But interestingly enough, on April the 25th, Uranus, a planet of change, enters Gemini, moves out of your 11th house into your 12th house, which means, again, when it comes to spirituality and intuition and dreams, creativity. There's a change going on there. This could bring forth awakening, enlightenment, and epiphanies. And because Venus will also be in the 12th house, this could bring change and shift, a spiritual shift or change in relationships, or even how you view relationships. So, Cancer rising, I'm wishing you all the best this month. It is an action packed month. Take care, and I'll speak with you soon. Hi, Leo rising. Let's get into your astrology forecast for the month of April. So, April is kicking off with a lot of relationship energy because we got a full moon in Libra. So, for a full moon to occur, you got to have the sun and moon in opposite signs. So, the sun will be in Aries in your ninth house of long distance travel, the mind, learning, as well as the moon being in Libra, which will be in your third house of communication and also the mind and travel. So, even though this full moon is occurring in the communication and travel and mind axis for you, there's still a lot of love and relationship involved here because you've got a full moon in Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus, the goddess of love and relationships. And actually, during this full moon in Libra, Venus is a predominant character because Venus and Pluto are going through it in this full moon in Libra chart. They are in a square, which means even though the theme for you is very much regarding your mind and communication and moving around and travel and expanding your mind, there's also relationship undertone here. And perhaps there needs to be some heart to heart or some clarity regarding a relationship or somebody close to you. Maybe there's some stuff buried under the surface or some things that needs to be revealed, because when you have a full moon in Libra, especially when the moon, which is the emotions, is in the third house of the house of communication, this shows that there's going to be some type of release, especially through a conversation. And especially when it's a full moon in Libra energy, it's got to do with the heart, feelings, love, relationships. And full moons are about releasing, letting go, healing energies available, and it's a transformation. So that is a huge focus at the beginning of the month. Now, as we get into the next few days and we reach to April the 9th, Mars enters Aries. Mars is a planet of action. Then we get into April the 14th, Mercury, the planet of communication, also enters Aries. And all these planets are happening for you in the ninth house. You got Saturn, Neptune, Mars, and Mercury all in the ninth house, including the sun. So this shows there's a lot of focus on learning and wisdom and your philosophies, and perhaps travel is very important during this time, expanding your mind. Even though Saturn and Neptune are bringing reality checks and perhaps slowing down, Mars is really pushing the barriers as well, and so is Mercury. So there could be a lot of speeding up the process and a lot of changes and expansion happening for you regarding the ninth house. And we also have a new moon in Aries on April the 17th at 27 degrees. Now, the full moon in Libra happens at 12 degrees, so check your chart if you have any planets in either Aries or Libra at 12 degrees or close by. But this new moon in Aries that we're having is happening at 27 degrees, which means when the sun and the moon come together, this is a new beginning, a new chapter, new cycle. This is a time to plant seeds, initiation. This is where manifestation can occur. And not only is this a new moon in Aries, which promotes manifestation and accomplishing and going for what you want, it's a very healing new moon. And because Chiron, the wounded healer, will be in a conjunction with the new moon. So this new moon is bringing forth healing. A lot of strong healing energy, particularly for you in the ninth house. This could be healing the mind, healing past situations, healing things that perhaps you believed in. Anything that needs healing in your life, this new moon can support in that, even in matters of love and relationships. So watch out for that, because there could be some frustrations that come up, especially when Mars and Mercury are both in Aries and you got all this fiery, intense, passionate energy. That can all come right up to the surface, and you may realize that, there needs to be some healing that occurs. And that's when you tap into the opposite energy, Libra, the heart energy. Moving on, April the 19th, the sun enters Taurus, which will be very much influencing your 10th house of career goals and ambitions. So that's where you may find a lot of focus as well developing throughout the month of April. Now, something interesting happening is April 24th, planet of love and relationship enters Gemini, which means it enters your 11th house of friendships, groups, social networks, and hopes and wishes for the future. But then the day following, April the 25th, Uranus, the planet of change and innovation, moves out of your 10th house into your 11th house. This is a big one. Now, Uranus has already visited your 11th house, but this time it's officially starting its transit. So get ready for a shake-up, change, new hopes and visions and wishes, building up your desires, wants, how you think, the people you connect with. That's all changing and shifting. Uranus will move into Gemini on April 25th. Now, this is a long transit, so it's not going to impact everyone at the same time, but nonetheless, this is shifting this area of life. And when you got Venus and Uranus coming together, this could also change relationships. This could bring some unique perspectives regarding relationships or wanting change, wanting something different, wanting to experience or explore something different, or expressing your feelings, which is Venus, in a different, unique manner. So get ready for that. That is a big shakeup. Now, Leo rising, we got a lot of fiery energy. You're already a fire sign. So buckle up, because we're going in for a ride with all that intensity of Mars, Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, the Sun. And we've got the new moon on April the 17th in Aries. A lot of intensity, a lot of passion. Use this energy wisely. Don't let it get the best of you. Harness it and work with it to create. Wishing you all the best. Speak with you soon. Hi Virgo, Virgo rising. Let's get into your April forecast. So April is very action orientated. There's a lot of intensity and passion because we have a ton of Aries energy, which we'll get into. But kicking off April the 1st, we have a full moon in Libra. The sun will be in Aries at 12 degrees in your 8th house, and the moon will be in Libra at 12 degrees in your 2nd house. So this is activating the money axis. 2nd house is what you own, resources. This has also got to do with self-worth, how much you believe in yourself, the confidence you have. And then you've got the 8th house, which has to do with what you share with others resourcefully, financially, but also it can have to do with intimacy and taking relationships to the next level. This could also have to do with spiritual transformation. So it's a very multifaceted area of life. But because we've got the sun and the moon opposite each other, activating the 2nd and 8th house, this could have a lot to do with what you own and how worthy you feel, especially with the moon, which is emotions and feelings and emotional validation. So with a full moon in Libra, has a lot to do with self-worth and how worthy you feel, but full moons give us an opportunity for release, for letting go, for transformation, for healing. This could be a time where it's a culmination point because the energy is very high and intense and at its peak, so there could be something that shifts and changes in these two areas of life as well. Take a look at your chart and take a look at where 12 degrees of Libra and Aries falls, if you have any planets close enough to these degrees, and this will be much more stronger in its manifestation. Now, we also have planet Venus, which is a ruler of Libra. Planet Venus is a goddess of love and relationships, also rules over self-worth and values, is going to be in a challenging aspect with Pluto. Pluto reveals what is hidden. Pluto is about power. Pluto is a spiritual transformational energy. It makes us do deep shadow work, ancestral work. So Venus and Pluto are not really seeing eye to eye during this time, during this full moon in Libra. So there could be some hidden, buried emotions, buried experiences that come up. This could have to do with relationships. This could have to do with self-worth, and it has a lot to do with power, control, and also gives us an opportunity for deep spiritual reflection and spiritual healing. So if you want to do some shadow work on self-worth, this full moon in Libra is really supporting that. Now we're starting off with this full moon in Libra, so we've got the Sun, Saturn, and Neptune all in Aries, but then all that Aries energy starts to amplify dramatically because April the 9th, The ruler of Aries, Mars, planet of action, enters Aries. April the 14th, planet of communication and travel in the mind, also enters Aries. So we've got a ton of Aries energy in your 8th house. So a lot of intensity. It's a very combative energy. There could be some frustration. There could be a lot of action you feel like taking. You want to move fast and furious in a way. And also with this Aries energy, it is a creational energy, it's a manifesting energy, but you have to be very aware of your shadow side and traits and boundaries and limitations with the Aries energy, which Saturn and Neptune are supporting us with. So with all that Aries energy happening in your 8th house, we also have a new moon in Aries on April the 17th. New moons supporting initiation, planting seeds, new beginnings, new cycles, new chapters. So in the 8th house of shared finances, resources, deep spiritual transformation, as well as taking relationships to the next level, intimacy. This area of life is very, very charged up. I mean, with all this Aries energy, I can just imagine with Mars, it's especially in Aries, it is so just, I mean, it just has so much energy, let's just put it that way, and it needs an outlet. Okay, and it needs a healthy outlet, because when you have all that pent up energy, it can lead to a lot of frustrations, and it can lead to a lot of strong emotions as well. So with all this Aries energy, you need a healthy outlet to let go of all that energy, especially with Mars in Aries. Otherwise, you tap into the negative side, or the Mercury in Aries becomes very argumentative and it's all about me, 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 me. So healthy outlet. Know your goal, know what you want to accomplish and achieve, and focus all that energy and life force into that goal that it is that you want to accomplish and achieve. But it seems like, yeah, it's a busy month with the 8th house really full of all this Aries energy. There's a lot of intensity. So you're also going to need to tap into that yin energy so it can center you and calm you and ground you when needed. With this new moon in Aries, it's also a very healing energy, not only because you've got the new moon in the 8th house, but Chiron is a big player here. Chiron will be in a conjunction with this new moon in Aries, so it's bringing a lot of healing into the 8th house. If you need to heal any relationships, because the 8th house is a continuation of the 7th house, relationships, we're also looking at shared finances, resources here, so healing in that process, or healing any indifferences, healing and intimacy as well. That's a major one. This is also the area of life of spiritual transformation, so Chiron can also support in that. So if you're very intentional of what it is that you want to heal and move forward from, this energy can really support in that. Now, moving on, we have the sun entering Taurus on April the 19th. The sun will move out of your 8th house into your 9th house, but the focus is more on your mind, philosophies, wisdom, higher learning, as well as travel. So that's a center focus as well, with the sun shining light there. Then we've got April the 24th, planet of love and relationships, Venus enters Gemini, moving into your 10th house of career, goals, and ambition. So that's where there's a lot of creative focus. That's where you're probably also finding a lot of self-worth and validation, but also you may be very much romantically involved with somebody in that field. But interestingly enough, April the 25th, the big one, Uranus enters Gemini, moving out of the 9th house into the 10th house of career, goals, and ambitions, and this is where it's shaking things up. When Uranus enters the 10th house, it's almost like you have an identity shift, because what you previously wanted, what you wanted to pursue, the goals you have in mind, here comes Uranus changing all of that. But what's behind all of that is freedom and independence and who you truly are. Okay, so get ready for that, because that's a big transit. Now, Uranus in Gemini is going to be there for a couple of years, so it's not going to impact everyone at the same time. Take a look at your Virgo placements and where they're at. If you have early Virgo, this will be felt much more strongly this year. But then also, we've got Venus and Uranus also going to be in Gemini together, which means how you are kind of maneuvering or feeling, or the route you want to take in terms of relationships is shifting and changing. Perhaps you need more freedom, perhaps you need more change, or you want to explore. And even when it comes to career goals and ambitions, but that's going to be a major theme for you with Uranus. Career goals and ambitions are shifting and changing because you are. So I'll speak with you soon. Take care and have a good one. Hey Libra, Libra rising, welcome to your April 2026 forecast. So, During April, we have a full moon in your sign. So this is your annual full moon, and it's starting off right at the beginning. April the 1st, we got a full moon in Libra at 12 degrees. The sun will be in Aries and the moon will be in your sign. So this is a very important month for you. Not only is because you got the full moon in your sign, but also there's a lot of energy occurring in your opposite sign, which means a lot of relationship activity going on. We're going to get into that. Let me just start off with this full moon in Libra. So April the 1st, we got a full moon in Libra. Now, this is occurring in your 1st and 7th house. So this is impacting you, your sense of self, identity, life path, purpose, and goals, as well as relationships and other people and partnerships. Now, this energy is supercharged for you. One thing about the full moon in Libra is that it's always going to emphasize on the heart. It's also going to emphasize on feelings and other people. But we have Venus, which will be in the sign Taurus during this full moon in Libra, and it's going to be in a square with Pluto, which is in Aquarius. So it seems like during this full moon in Libra, there are some secrets or things that are hidden or buried or that need to be revealed, need to be worked through, shadow work, healed through, transformed. There's a lot of relationship healing energy on the way. So whether you are single in a relationship or if it's complicated, this energy is going to be intense. Intense in the sense of that anything you've been trying to kind of like move past, but not really doing that work or addressing everything directly, or anything you've been avoiding, it's all going to come up. It's all going to come up, and this full moon in Libra is giving us an opportunity to deal with it and really kind of clear and cleanse it out and transform it, which can mean either becoming more stronger and moving together, or it can mean, going your separate ways, because full moons are about endings and chapters and cycles coming to an end, closure, and also changes and transformation. This could also just have to do with you and how you feel and moving on from the past, so that can bring a lot of healing into your life. So it's a big one, okay? A lot of heart healing, a lot of relationship, love healing on the way. Now, speaking of all that opposite Aries energy, so we've got Mars, a planet of action in Aries, happening on April the 9th. Mercury, the planet of communication, entering your opposite sign Aries on April the 14th. This is all going to occur in your 7th house of relationships. So relationships is going to be a key theme. Like, it's so emphasized from the moment we enter April, throughout April. We've got all this love, relationship energy. We've got Saturn, Neptune, Mercury, and Mars all in the 7th house, which is showing there's a lot of confronting relationship stuff. There could be some conflicts that you have to overcome or kind of balance out. There may be some indifferences, or there may be a lot of communication involved during this time regarding relationships. With Saturn, it can feel like there's some obstacles, but Mars and Mercury are giving you this opportunity to work through things. And also, we've got a new moon in Aries on April the 17th, happening in your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, and other people. So this could be a new change. Something new occurs in a relationship, or even if you're single, this could be a new beginning, a seeding point. This could be a time of initiation and being very intentional in what it is you want to kind of bring into your life, attract into your life regarding the 7th house. And also with this new moon in Aries, there's a lot of healing energy as well. Now, in general, the Libra energy and Venus is about healing, but when you have a new moon in Aries, a sun and moon in Aries, as well as Chiron in Aries, known as a wounded healer, in your 7th house, this could bring a lot of healing. And I know I keep saying that word, but for you, that's all I keep like picking up on. Healing, healing, healing. Wherever I look, whether I'm looking at the full moon in Libra, whether I'm looking at this new moon in Aries in the 7th house, or looking at Venus in Taurus, that is like a major theme. A lot of relationship healing, the relationship you have with yourself or with someone else, someone from the past, a lot of healing energy. So if you are going through a healing process, a healing journey, this new moon in Aries, which will be at 27 degrees, can really be supportive. So take a look at your chart, take a look at where all the Aries energy falls in your chart, take a look at where the full moon in Libra falls in your chart. If you have any planets in either Aries or Libra at 12 degrees or close by, or even 27 degrees, this is going to be much more profound for you. Now, moving on, the sun enters Taurus on April the 19th, where the energy moves into the 8th house of shared finances, resources, intimacy and deep spiritual transformation. So that's where there'll be more expansion and growth. We also have Venus entering Gemini in April the 24th, which means it will enter your ninth house of the mind, travel, and also wisdom and expanding your mind. So there may be a lot of pleasure in learning, reading, writing, or even traveling. And interestingly enough, April the 25th, Uranus, a planet of change and innovation, enters Gemini, moving into the ninth house, which can really support you in expanding your mind. You can have awakenings, epiphanies, just sudden perspective shifts happening as well. And interestingly enough, with Venus and Uranus entering Gemini just a day apart, there's also this kind of like emphasis on freedom and independence in relationships and wanting something different or wanting to explore something different. So Libra rising, a big month for you. Let me know how you get on. Wishing you all the best and speak with you soon. Hi Scorpio rising, welcome to your April 2026 Cosmic Energy Forecast. So April is one of those months where there's a lot of intensity, and not because it's Scorpio season, but because there is a lot of fiery Aries energy. We have Saturn, Neptune, and your ruler, Mars, a planet of action, moving into Aries on April the 9th. Planet of communication, Mercury, entering Aries on April the 14th. We also have a new moon in Aries on April the 17th. So there's so much passion, intensity. It's a very action-orientated month, even though we are going to have Saturn and Neptune in Aries, where we are having to restructure certain areas of our life. Mars and Mercury are really gearing up and ready to take action. And for you, this is really focusing on the sixth house of your daily life, your daily routine, and work. That is major, as well as self-care and how you take care of yourself and your wellness. So it seems like there's going to be a lot of action, a lot of development occurring in the sixth house. So whether it has to do with you being on this self-care journey, or your lifestyle, or work, if you've been working towards something, but this definitely shows that throughout April you're going to be very much a workaholic, especially when you have Mars in the sixth house. It is all about work, and in the sign of Aries, and also the way you think, it's very, with Mercury and Mars in Aries, you're very sharp and very focused on your goals and ambitions. So that's where a lot of the energy is going to go. And you got a new moon in Aries happening on April the 17th, where there could be this new beginning, new chapter, new cycle occurring. It could be connected to work, or it can be connected to healing. Now, when we look at healing, we're looking at the sixth house as well, because it has a lot to do with self-care and wellness and health. But also this new moon in Aries, you got the sun, the moon in Aries at 27 degrees. But then you also have Chiron in Aries very close by to this new moon. Chiron is known as a wounded healer. So this brings a lot of healing potential, a lot of wisdom, a lot of enlightenment. So it can really support you to incorporate healing into your life or your work. And if you've been working towards being a better version of yourself, or working on your health, wellness, working on your work, working on your lifestyle, this could be a great time. And there could also be new possibilities and opportunities regarding work, because it's a new moon in Aries in the sixth house. We also have a full moon in Libra happening right at the beginning of April the 1st at 12 degrees. So the sun will be in Aries and the moon will be in Libra in your 12th house. Now, when the moon in Libra is in the 12th house, this is an energy that's very much in its feelings. You're very much feeling a lot. Things from the past are coming up. You may feel very intuitive. Dreams may be very vivid, because this is a full moon in Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus. It has a lot to do with matters of the heart, going through kind of like this internal process or a spiritual time, but it's supporting you to release and let go. This could have to do with the last 30 days. This could have to do with past situations regarding self-worth or regarding relationships. This gives an opportunity to let go and release. And also, the ruler of Libra, Venus, will be in your opposite sign, Taurus, and it will be squaring Pluto, your ruler, as well. So this energy is supporting in a lot of shadow work, in a lot of healing, and then this is something you're kind of like a pro at. So it is really cleansing and clearing out any stuck energy, any stagnant energy, especially when it comes to matters of love, relationships, and self-worth. So it can be a very spiritually healing time, and there could be also a lot of divine guidance and wisdom that comes through. Moving on, the sun enters your opposite sign on April the 19th. So the sun shining into your seventh house, which means relationships will take a huge focus throughout April. Love, relationships, other people, and harmony will be a central focus, as well as the sixth house will be a central focus. Now let's move on to some new energy. April the 24th, Venus enters Gemini, moving into your eighth house. So this is where love and relationships also get very intense, very passionate, very spicy. Now the eighth house has to do with shared finances, resources, what you share with others, intimacy, and deep spiritual transformation. So again, this is emphasizing on a lot of healing. But interestingly enough, April the 25th, the following day, Uranus, the planet of change and innovation, also enters Gemini, entering your eighth house. So this new cycle officially begins. It moves out of your seventh house, which I'm sure you're glad, because Gemini energy is far different than Taurus. Taurus is your opposite sign, whereas Gemini gives you room to kind of move around and play, and it's not as intense as your opposite sign. And being in the eighth house, I mean, it does still have its intensity because the eighth house is associated with Scorpio, but nonetheless, this is also bringing forth a lot of change into your life, spiritual change, a lot of change in terms of awakening, a lot of enlightenment, a lot of opportunity to do deep shadow work and healing. It can bring some unpredictability, but it's asking for more change, and that change leads to, the focus behind it is to be your authentic true self and be your most independent raw true self as well. So it's going to be a very interesting transit for you. So that is April. It's very fiery, very intense, and I hope you have an incredible time. Wishing you all the best. Speak with you soon. Hey Sag Rising, welcome to your April 2026 Cosmic Energy Update. We are kicking off the month April 1st, with a full moon in Libra happening at 12 degrees, where the sun will be in Aries and the moon will be in Libra. This is impacting your 11th and 5th axis. So the moon, where your emotions, where you're going to be more emotionally involved and emotionally focused on, will be surrounding friends, groups, networks, and your hopes and wishes for the future, whereas more of your overall energy that everyone is able to see more of will be based on the fifth house, which is about joy, happiness, pleasure, self-expression, creativity. This could also have to do with romance and dating. So that's where there's going to be a focus, and there may also be room for mending fences or healing, harmony. It could be very relationship orientated as well. Now, full moons do support us in letting go and releasing and transforming. So there may be a change you experience in your 11th house of friendships, groups, networks, or even something changing regarding your hopes and wishes for the future. And this could also be connected to the fifth house, because on April the 17th, we've got a new moon in Aries happening at 27 degrees, where there'll be this shift or change in the fifth house. New moons are about new beginnings. It's a new cycle, new chapters. It's a seeding point, initiation, manifestation. And in the fifth house, especially if you're working towards experiencing more joy, having more fun in life, experiencing more pleasure, doing something creative, if you work on creative projects or you're a creative person, this could really be great for you. And it has a lot to do with healing as well, because during this new moon in Aries, we have Chiron in the mix, which is supporting us to do a lot of healing work, bringing a lot of wisdom, bringing a lot of enlightenment, and perhaps creativity is an avenue, or perhaps even just a form of healing for you. This could even have to do with romance, relationships, and dating. So the full moon that's happening on April the 1st is connected with the new moon in Aries happening on April the 17th. So that's two major areas of April happening for your zodiac. Now, in general, the fifth house is action-packed for you, because we kick off the month with Saturn and Neptune in your fifth house, which are restructuring this area of life. And then you've got the planet of action, Mars, entering Aries on April the 19th. Mercury, the planet of communication and travel, entering Aries on April the 14th. So a lot of focus, a lot of action and development regarding your fifth house. So if you're a creative person, this is great for you because this is showing a lot of momentum, a lot of stamina. And with Saturn and Neptune, it's supporting you to kind of restructure this area of life and be more balanced in this area of life, and knowing your boundaries and limits, but also working with your creative talents and skills and creating like a masterpiece. Moving on, April the 19th, the Sun enters Taurus, moving into your sixth house, where there'll be a lot of focus. Sixth house rules over your daily life routine, wellness, self-care, as well as work. So this is a very emphasized area of life, which is also going to take a central focus. April the 24th, Venus enters Gemini. Venus will enter Gemini, entering your seventh house. So this is very relationship oriented when Venus enters its own domain, which is the seventh house. Love, relationships, harmony, partnerships, other people are going to be very emphasized. And just in general, I'm finding that a lot of zodiacs say there's a lot of love and relationship stuff going on in April. And then to top it off, you've got Uranus entering Gemini on April the 25th, which is bringing change, which is wanting to try something different, explore different avenues of relationships. Needing change can sometimes be restless and need independence and freedom. So that is going to be quite awakening. Many may go through dramatic changes in relationships, but it's meant to happen, and you can't kind of like resist these energies. If there's change that is meant to happen, it's going to happen, and you may feel that energy just as both Venus and Uranus move into Gem and then come into a conjunction. You may feel that restlessness in relationships, wanting something new, trying something new, wanting to explore, and perhaps even because it's a long transit anyways, it depends on at what time it impacts you because of your own like planets and what have you. But in general, generally speaking, with Uranus in the seventh house, it can make you feel attracted to somebody who's not your usual type, someone who's different and unique, and somebody you probably don't even have much in common with, or perhaps the person you're growing into. You meet this other person who is already there in the sense of who you're growing into. That person is just already like a mirror or reflection of it, and you have that kind of like connection there. So it's a very interesting energy when you have Uranus in the seventh house. It can make relationships unpredictable, but there needs to be an understanding of the changes required. So Sag rising, I'm wishing you all the best this month. Take care, and I'll speak with you soon. Hi Cap Rising, welcome to your April monthly forecast. April is a month that is really charging up some personal areas of life for you, and in particularly the fourth house of home, family life, personal relationships, and where you go to retreat and find your sense of belonging, as well as your career, goals, and ambitions. Let's start off with career goals and ambitions, because straight off the bat, April the 1st, we got a full moon in Libra. The moon will be in the 10th house, where the sun will be in your 4th house at 12 degrees. So this is showing that there's kind of like an imbalance between these two areas of life. These two areas of life are very dominant during this week and month of April. And there needs to be some sort of release or something changing, something coming to perspective and transforming. Emotionally, it seems like you're much more attached to your career goals and ambitions, whereas it seems like with the sun in the 4th house, there's more of a central focus on home life, family life, your personal life. So it's about balancing these two areas of life, bringing harmony, because that's the full moon in Libra. Particularly if you have any planets either in Cap, Libra, or Aries, or even Cancer at 12 degrees or close by. Now, during this full moon in Libra, Venus and Pluto are kind of triggering each other. This is between the 6th house and the 2nd house. So we're looking at daily life routine, wellness, work, and the 2nd house of what you own, resources, finances. So it seems like anything that needs to be work done, healed, or transformed, that is also going to come up, and it's very much intertwined with this full moon in Libra. So you're going to be super focused on the areas of life that are very important to you. One, career goals and ambitions, which is the 10th house, and also home, family, which is the 4th house, and the 2nd house, and the 6th house. Now, the 4th house is a very busy area of life for you. 4th house is home, family, your personal life, sense of belonging, where you go to retreat and rejuvenate. This is stability, this is structure as well. You've got Saturn and Neptune already in this area of life. Then you've got Mars entering Aries on April the 9th, Mercury, the planet of communication and travel, entering Aries on April the 14th. So it seems like there's a lot of development, a lot of moving forward, a lot of action being taken, a lot of communication, a lot of thinking, a lot of energy going into your 4th house, even though emotionally to begin the month of April, you're very much attached to the 10th house, but the 4th house is really taking central focus, especially with the sun here. And then you got a new moon in Aries on April the 17th, where there could be a significant shift, change, new beginning in your area of life that rules over home and family. And this is a very healing new moon because Chiron, the wounded healer, is going to be in a conjunction with this new moon in Aries, where the sun, moon, Saturn, and Neptune, Mars and Mercury and Chiron will all be in Aries in the 4th house. So there's something going on at home or your personal life or even the subconscious which needs a transformation, needs healing. And that is coming up during April the 17th. And it can be really beautiful in the sense of where healing is due, and being in the 4th house of home and family can bring a lot of needed release as well, but also can support in some sort of new beginning to move forward. So just be very intentional. And if you're working towards home or family life, structure, stability, security, this could also bring forth a lot of developments there. We've got the sun entering Taurus on April the 19th, moving into your 5th house, which will also be a central focus. This is the area of life that rules over joy, happiness, creativity, self-expression, as well as romance and dating. Venus enters Gemini on April the 24th, moving into your 6th house of your daily life routine, wellness, and work. So there's a lot of pleasure there, a lot of also emotions there as well, because Venus is the heart. And then, interestingly enough, April the 25th, Uranus, a planet of change and innovation, moves out of your 5th house into your 6th house, bringing a lot of shifts and changes in your daily life routine as well as work. Now, get ready. This is a big one. This is an official transit kicking off. I mean, you've experienced this a bit before, but now this energy is really settling in, and it's bringing changes. It's going to bring changes that you didn't even know existed within you, where you need more freedom, where you need more independence, where you need just a change in your daily life and how it's structured. And that can be a bit difficult for you to wrap your head around because you're very structured. You're ruled by Saturn. But with Uranus in the 6th house, a house that rules over routine and how your life is organized and structured and work life, there's going to be many changes to come in your everyday life. So buckle up. Cap rising, take care. A lot is going on in terms of career, home life, as well as the 6th house of daily life, routine, and work. Wishing you all the best. Take care and speak with you soon. Hey Aquarius rising, welcome to your April 2026 Cosmic Energy Forecast. We are moving into a lot of fiery, intense, passionate energy because there is a ton of Aries energy upcoming. As soon as we kick off April the 1st, we got a full moon in Libra, which means the sun will be in Aries in your 3rd house of communication, the mind, and travel, and the moon will be in Libra in the 9th house of higher learning, the higher mind, philosophies, faith, and foreign places as well as travel as well. These two areas are very much under the limelight as soon as we enter April, and there may be some type of change here. There may be some type of chapter or cycle coming to a close, whether it being how you think, perspectives, even like philosophies, or perhaps there's a transformation that occurs in travel plans, or there's an important conversation that occurs that is very healing. This is also a very relationship orientated moon because it's a full moon in Libra. Libra is all about love, relationships, and harmony because the ruler is Venus. And Venus is a very key player because during this full moon in Libra, Venus and Pluto will be in a challenging aspect, which means especially because Pluto's in your sign, which means that things that are kept hidden, any secrets, anything that is kind of brewing in the background or under the surface comes right up, and it gives you an opportunity to confront it and do some deep spiritual healing work when it comes to matters of the heart, when it comes to matters of love and relationships. But for you, especially because the third and ninth house are very activated, it could have to do with your perspective, how you're thinking. There could be an important conversation that occurs. For some, this could involve a traveling journey that is very much activating for the heart. Then we have Mars that enters Aries on April the 9th, the planet of action and getting things done. This is activating the third house, and we have so much third house energy because Saturn, Neptune, the Sun, and then on April the 14th, Mercury, the planet of travel and communication, also enters Aries. So it seems like you'll be having a very much talkative month during April. A lot of conversations, a lot of moving, a lot of traveling, a lot of just thinking and processing information, and it may just really be great for you in the sense of it's activating your mind and pushing your mind to different limits as well. You're very curious and also very headstrong during this time, especially with Mars and Mercury. Now, we've got a new moon in Aries on April the 17th, and this new moon is happening at 27 degrees. It's a very healing new moon because the Sun and the Moon and Chiron will be in a conjunction, which means that during this new moon in Aries, especially when it comes to how you're thinking and how you're processing information, there may be this kind of like aha moment you have, or this epiphany, or a moment of enlightenment that really shifts your perspective that is actually very healing. Or healing occurs through conversation, because we're looking at the third house here. Mercury will be here and Mars will be here as well, which you got to be careful with because Mars can be very sharp and it can sometimes be irrational and not think before it speaks. But when you've got the Sun, Moon, and Chiron together, this gives room for healing through talking things out. So this could be very healing for you. With new moons, it's about new beginnings, new cycles, new chapters, initiating and planting seeds. So if you want to set an intention of bringing healing into your life, this new moon supports that. April the 19th, the Sun enters Taurus, moving into your fourth house of home, family, security, and sense of belonging. So that's also going to be a very central focus in your life during April. And then April the 24th, the planet of love and relationships enters the fifth house, enters Gemini, where it's more playful, more creative, it's having fun, it's very social, it's very expressive, and Venus loves the fifth house. Venus is having the time of the life. Venus is on honeymoon in the fifth house. But what's so interesting is April the 25th, we've got Uranus, a planet of change and innovation, entering Gemini, moving into your fifth house, and this Gemini cycle officially begins. So it's bringing a lot of change in relationships. You may want to explore, you want more independence, you want to try something different in terms of creativity, how you express yourself. You're really going to be in your element because Uranus is in Gemini in the fifth house. It's an air sign and it's about expression, and you're very eccentric. You're going to be in your element. It's going to give you so much creativity to think outside the box, and it's going to be great for you. So Aquarius rising, wishing you all the best this month. Take care, and I'll speak with you soon. Pisces rising, welcome to your April 2026 forecast. So as soon as we enter April, we are coming in strong with a full moon in Libra. And that for you is impacting your second and your eighth house. The sun will be in your second house in Aries. The second house rules over what you own. It's about resources. It's about self-worth. That's a big theme with the second house. And the moon, where you're going to feel more emotionally involved, invested, and attached to during this time, is going to be in Libra in the eighth house. This has to do with what you share with others. This could be shared resources, finances. This could have to do with intimacy. And this area of life also rules over deep spiritual transformation. So those are the two charged up areas during this full moon in Libra that's occurring at 12 degrees. And full moons give us an opportunity to release, let go. There could be some dramatic change that occurs or a dramatic transformation. For you, it's impacting the second and eighth house. And particularly the second house during the month of April is super active because we're kicking off the month with both Saturn, Neptune, the Sun, and then we have Mars that enters Aries, a planet of action, getting things done, enters Aries on April the 9th. The planet of communication and travel enters Aries on April the 14th. So it seems like it's a very active month regarding what you own. And that involves resources, that involves how much confidence you have, how much self-belief you have, worthiness. So there's a lot of development there, and it seems like there's a lot of progression there as well, especially with Mars and Mercury kind of moving and developing things along. So that's where the focus is during April. And then we also have a new moon in Aries on April the 17th at 27 degrees. That's also impacting the second house, where there could be something new that occurs, a change, some type of development. This is also a time to initiate, plant seeds. This is a new beginning, a new chapter. And it's a very healing new moon, because not only is the sun and the moon shining in your second house, but also we've got Chiron in a conjunction with this new moon in Aries. So any healing that you want to do that involves how much abundance you have in your life, or how much self-belief and self-worth you have, this is a time to be very intentional over that. April the 19th, the sun enters Aries, moving into your third house of the mind, learning, communication. This area of life also rules over travel, more so short distance travels, like your daily travels. And this is going to be also a very important area of life throughout April, because the sun is here, making it a central focus. So there may be some important conversations you have, or the month involves a lot of important conversations. And then we also have April the 24th, Venus, a planet of love and relationships, moving out of Taurus into Gemini, moving into the fourth house of home, family, your personal life. This is the area of life where you go to retreat and rejuvenate. So it seems like love and relationships will start to be more focused on your home life, your family life, your sense of belonging. And interestingly enough, on April the 25th, Uranus moves out of Taurus into Gemini, and the official transit of Uranus in Gemini begins, moving into your fourth house, bringing change, innovation into the area of life that rules over home, family, and your sense of belonging. You know, when you have Uranus in the fourth house, you know, Uranus is very restless. It can be very unpredictable. So there can be some things that drastically change, or perhaps you want to move around. It sometimes with Uranus and Gemini, it makes things a little unstable for a while. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen next, because you're changing a lot, and which is impacting the things and environments around you and structures around you. So that can be very much like an adventure with Uranus and Gemini in the fourth house. Expect movement, expect change, expect desiring more freedom and independence. And, you know, the fourth house is a very hidden area of life as well. So it can bring things up that have been very much hidden for a while. So that is April. A lot of fiery energy, a lot of Aries energy. There's a lot of focus on matters of the heart, relationships, and harmony because of the full moon in Libra, and then Venus also changing signs. A lot of action and energy with your fourth house of home and family, with Uranus moving into Gemini. So I'm wishing you all the best, Pisces rising, and speak with you soon.